Hey guys, welcome back. It's Salty Stella, and today I'm going to be answering all of your questions regarding dumpster diving. Welcome to Diving 101. Alright guys, we're going to jump with the heavy hitters right out of the gate. The number one question I get asked hundreds of times, if not thousands a week over on TikTok is dumpster diving illegal? The short answer is no, it's not illegal. And here's a brief history lesson on that. In 1988, there was a person suspected of trafficking illicit substances in California. The police at the time wanted to inspect his trash that was put out on the curb in front of his house, but they couldn't do that without a warrant. So it was passed in the Supreme Court, a couple months after this case, that once trash leaves a residence, a public domain, wherever, and it is on the street or the sidewalk, it is now available for a neighbor, a stranger, a passerby, a police officer for the taking. So that's the short answer. The long answer is that there's a couple options that come into play. Locked dumpsters, gated dumpsters, no trespassing signs, things of that nature. Now, the average town, no one's going to give you a hard time. Like my town, for instance. I go about my business. I drive up behind the shopping centers. I have occasionally gotten asked to leave by employees, which we'll talk about a little later in the video. But nobody's calling the police to have me arrested because I simply wouldn't be arrested. Now, a locked dumpster is always off limits. Don't ever try and pry the dumpster over, get the lock off. That's 100% against the law. Secondly, if it is clearly marked for no trespassing, Ulta is a great example. Right on their dumpsters, they have big white stickers with a red header that says no trespassing. That was put there by Ulta, not by the dumpster company. That is a no-go because they can call the police and say, I have a criminal trespasser on my property. Now, another loophole to get through this, it's not really a loophole, but it's more of a to keep your behind safe or in check. If you go to a CVS, you're not going to see a lock typically, and you're not going to see a no trespassing sign. If you go into CVS and spend $1 on a candy bar, on your receipt, there is an unspoken agreement that you're allowed on the property. You are you're a paying customer. You're allowed to be there. So if you go out back with your receipt that you have and you're looking through the dumpster, if someone wanted to call the authorities and they came, by law, you are now legally allowed to be there. Now, if that happened and I was still legally allowed to be there and an officer was called, I would probably still, okay, officer, I might try and educate like, hey, this isn't illegal, here's the laws, yada, yada, yada. But I wouldn't give them a hard time. I would leave if I was asked. When it comes to gates, that also will apply to CVS. My CVSs that I dumpster dive at do have gates, but they're not locked and they're not marked for no trespassing. So that's kind of a use your better judgment, if you will. As with anything, especially when it comes to dumpster diving, you have to be smart about what you're doing. You can't just be flippant in your activities and go about it like you're intouchable and you can get away with anything. You have to be smart. Use your brain. Use common sense. If something is locked, even if you see great merchandise in there, don't try and get in there. It's not worth getting arrested over. Secondly, when it comes to the legality of dumpster diving, even though it is legal on a federal level in all 50 states, you are responsible for checking your local ordinances. Your town in Indiana or your town in Michigan or Idaho, it might be illegal. There is a city, Allentown, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes up the way. It is illegal there. And to get this information, it's a simple Google search. dumpster diving and your town, dumpster diving and your county, dumpster diving in your city, and you'll generally find what you need to know. I will provide a few links below that do list cities in towns and states, whether it's allowed or not, but that doesn't cover everywhere. For instance, my town isn't on that list, but I will provide some links below. So really, for as many times as people ask me on TikTok, is it legal in my town? They could have spent less time typing that into Google. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm happy to answer any questions, and that's why I'm sitting here right now doing this. But it really is a simple Google search because every town is different. So please keep that in mind. Yes, it's legal in your state. I don't know if it's legal in your town. Only you're going to know that by doing the research. Secondly, when it comes to the legality of dumpster diving, even though it is legal on a federal level in all 50 states, you are responsible for checking your local ordinances. Your town in Indiana or your town in Michigan or Idaho, it might be illegal. There is a city, Allentown, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes up the way. It is illegal there. And to get this information, it's a simple Google search. Dumpster diving and your town, dumpster diving and your county, dumpster diving in your city, and you'll generally find what you need to know. I will provide a few links below that do list cities in towns and states, whether it's allowed or not, but that doesn't cover everywhere. For instance, my town isn't on that list, but I will provide some links below. So really, for as many times as people ask me on TikTok, is it legal in my town? They could have spent less time typing that into Google. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm happy to answer any questions, and that's why I'm sitting here right now doing this. But it really is a simple Google search because every town is different. So please keep that in mind. Yes, it's legal in your state. I don't know if it's legal in your town. Only you're going to know that by doing the research. While we're talking about legality, I would like to bring up the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act. All too often, I hear from people commenting on my videos in TikTok to people in real life, to experiences that people have had, that they hear directly from a store or restaurant or organization that we can't donate these things that we're throwing away, or we would be held liable if something happened to someone. That is 100% not true. That would make sense. The average human would think, okay, if something was thrown away, say it was a bag of potato chips, and I took those potato chips and I gave them to Bob over here. Bob ate them and he got sick. Oh, let's get a payday. I'm going to sue that store that threw them away. Nope, you're not, because it's protected under the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act. That goes for food, merchandise, hygiene products, everything that you can think of from a dumpster. So if someone tells you they can't donate, a store manager tells you, I can't donate this stuff or my company will be held liable, that's a bold-faced lie. Or maybe they just don't know. Maybe they're uneducated. And that's part of the reason that I do what I do. It's to spread awareness and education. So, those are two major points. Is it legal? What about donating? Because we all know that's what I do. So, we've got some notes over here. What do I have next? Okay, so listen. Let's talk about a staggering statistic. The United States of America creates 30% of the planet's waste. 30%. However, the population of the United States is only 4% of the planet's population. And if you, in that simple statement, if you don't see a problem, then you're part of the problem. Now, I throw stuff away every day. I have 2 kids. We go through plastic containers of yogurt. I am not the least wasteful person on the planet. I strive to do better every day. I am no better than anybody else. But think about that statistic. We are responsible for 30% of the planet's waste, but we only have 4% of the planet's population. So I do this to bring awareness, simply to that. If we're responsible for that much waste, can you imagine how much of our land and area is contaminated with said waste? all the landfills, digging holes and just packing the trash in, burning trash, which is sending all the chemicals up into the ozone layer. That's really where dumpster divers come in. Yes, people do this out of necessity. They need things. They can't afford them. Yes, other people do this to sell the things because in reality, these stores are throwing away perfectly good product that you could profit off of. I personally do this to donate to people that are less fortunate than I. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. If there's perfectly good product in a trash can, why wouldn't I take it and give it to somebody that needs it? That's my mentality. I just don't understand why I wouldn't do that. I'm a stay-at-home mom right now. It's the least I can do, being that I don't work full-time. All right, guys, let's talk about what you need to go dumpster diving. A lot of people ask how to get started, and to be honest, it's not that serious. You know how I got started? I drove up to a dumpster and I looked inside. It was that simple. I had nobody with me. I've actually never dumpster dived with another person, but it was literally that simple. Suggestions to get started would be a step stool, a grabber, one of those, extensions that has a little handle and it picks things up, a flashlight, gloves, heavy duty gloves, especially if you're going to do craft stores, home decor stores where there's often broken glass and stuff. So a step stool, a grabber, gloves, and a flashlight. Also, I would recommend reusable bags or a basket or container. This way, if there's a bunch of product, you grab your reusable bag and throw it in it. Now, like I just said, when it came to me dumpster diving, I've been picking trash my whole life. Meaning, if I'm driving around and there's a beautiful table on the side of the road, of course I'm going to pick it up. That's how we furnished my house, basically. Not really out of necessity, just out of the fact that people throw away perfectly good items. And, I digress. It's also people putting these things on their curb for free, not necessarily intended to go to the landfill. So that was natural for me. I've just kind of always done that. Like, since I was a teenager, if I see something cool on the side of the road, I'm going to stop and pick it up. I think the first time I looked in a dumpster was it was a couple years ago, but I didn't start fully dumpster diving until about a year ago. And it was one of these times where I pulled up to a dumpster and I looked in and it was filled with merchandise. I could barely get everything in my car. And that's what started the ball rolling for me. I looked at all this stuff that I got, some decor, some arts and crafts stuff, and I kept some of it. And then I thought, man, I don't need all this. I don't want to start a hoarding collection. I don't have room for this. I'm just going to give it away. It's that simple. And that's how we got to where I am today. So here's the most important things to keep in mind. If a dumpster is locked, don't mess with it. If a dumpster has a no trespassing sign, I say don't mess with it. Have I gone into dumpsters that have that sign? I have. I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't recommend it. Third, if there's a gate around it, use your discretion. Be smart about it. Also, the things that you can use, like I just recommended, the basic starter pack for dumpster diving. And then, let's talk about time of day. Now, if you're here from TikTok, you know I'm always out there hustling by 4 a.m. That's because I'm a morning person. I always have been. I love getting up early. I'm the kind of person that wakes up energized, ready to go. Like I said, I'm always an up and at 'em kind of person. The reason I like to go in the morning is because stores aren't open. There's not a lot of people around. And like I said, that's just when I'm available. And that's also what works with my family. When my spouse is off, he's at home with the kids sleeping while I'm up and on the move doing this work. Some people prefer to go at night after the store closes, and some people just go in the middle of the day, which I do as well. If I'm running to a grocery store, you better believe I'm going to drive behind the shopping center and check the dumpsters before or after my shopping trip. But I like to get up and go in the morning for the reasons I just explained. Least hassle, least chance of confrontation, least chance of police being called, because the way that I see it is if you're out there rooting around at midnight, that might look suspicious. But when the sun's just coming up at 6 in the morning, your headlights aren't really standing out. People are in a rush getting to work. That's just my personal opinion and preference. Everybody has a different schedule. Another question I get all the time is, how do I know when to go? Which day is the best? When do they throw stuff away? There's no answer to that question. You can get in tune with the trash schedule once you're doing this a lot. But to be honest, it takes patience and being persistent. You have to check often. You might go on a Monday and find nothing. You might go the next Monday and find $700 worth of merchandise. The bottom line is you never know when a store is going to throw something away. It can happen any day of the week at any given time. Sure, there's other patterns, like at the end of the month, stores start to throw away dated food and things like that. But you just really never know. It's a gamble. It's a game of luck, if you will. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for supporting me in all my endeavors on different social media platforms. Thank you for your support with Stella's Kits. That means the world to me, and I'll be doing a full rundown of my nonprofit organization next week. I love you all. I appreciate your support, and do something kind for someone today.